I suggest you study this.
Hi, Rosco. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Rachel?
Good. I heard you were on hold a long time last time, and none of us knew. I apologize.
Yeah,
that
that shit happens. That's okay.
Sorry.
This is way better than calling in, though, having me join the chat,
There
so
you
thanks
go.
so much for that.
Like, we got to give him special treatment, and Aron Ra's here so you can see each other's beautiful faces.
Yes, that was a big selling point. Aron's here, so... So I actually have a couple questions. Well, I have one for Aron and one for Steven, if that's okay. I don't want to take up too much of you guys this time, but...
Go ahead.
15, 20 minutes. Yeah, ish.
All right. So Aron, actually, my question was actually... I wasn't even going to promote my show. I was going to talk about it as if I was talking about someone else, but you guys already did, so thank you so much. That's awesome. But my question is, what is your... No, that's totally cool. My question is, what is your opinion on an atheist podcaster, such as myself, that has religious people on, but doesn't challenge their beliefs? Like, he doesn't push them. Like, he does ask the tough questions, but if there's something he disagrees with, he doesn't really voice his opinion on that.
What is my opinion about that?
Yes, what's your opinion?
Missed opportunity?
Missed opportunity? Okay.
Well, if you're asking tough questions, though, you're still hopefully leading them to possibly question, right?
Yeah, driving him to eventually go, ooh, I don't know that answer.
But the thing is, though, well, Rachel knows. She was on the show. I do the same thing with atheists, too, because, like, I ask Pascal's wager and things like that just to see what they have to say, and, of course, they brush it off. But, yeah, so you don't think there's anything... wrong, because I've been accused of being fake because I don't challenge their beliefs.
Well, I mean, on anything?
Well, no. I mean, if there's something I disagree with, that's why they're there, so that like I'm giving them the platform so that they can say what it is they believe. I think
Okay,
a lot.
I'm sorry. When you're talking to religious people, I mean, here in the South, you know, when we talk to religious people, we're not just talking to somebody that holds a position of theism and everything else is otherwise rational. We're talking about people that have really primitive, backward views on practically everything. I mean, absolutely wrong about absolutely everything. That's the kind of people we're talking to. So it's hard to have a conversation really about anything without, you know, some violent disagreement. I mean, most of these people, if I were to mention that I have a Chevy instead of a Ford, there's an argument right there. But that's just the nature of people in this part of the country.
Right.
No, he did it. It's very interesting the way it's formatted, because it's not as much of a long-winded conversation where it goes back and forth, back and forth. He asks the question, and it can come out of nowhere, and it kind of can catch you off guard, and you're like, okay, well, this is how I feel about it, you know, right off the bat. And he's like, okay, that's interesting. And he might ask you another question that's the same topic, or he'd be like, okay, well, how do you feel about this? And it'd be completely different. It's just saying your answers to whatever the questions were. So it's
you don't ever comment on the consistency or the
I'll give you an example. I had a guy on who believed he was a Pleiadian. He believed that he was from the Pleiades star system. Okay, right. So if I'm talking to somebody like this, if I'm just kind of disagreeing with everything that they're saying, I'm gonna lose the interview. This guy was a really, really super nice guy. So at the very end of the interview, I said to him, what was it? I said the Pleiades only formed about 100,000 years ago. Scientists say that's nowhere near enough time for life to evolve there. What do you have to say to that? And whatever he answers, I'm good with his answer.
I see.
Wow.
So you're sort of softly challenging them. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It's yeah. I guess you could say I'm softly challenging them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different approach than I'm used to, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but it would be hard for me to have these conversations.
I know it would for you, yes.
Yes, I mean, have you ever had like a Baptist fundamentalist from like Mississippi or Georgia or somewhere on there?
I have not. Blake Genta is actually the only like real hardcore Christian that I've had on the show, and even with him, I was kind of giving him like some Bible verses that I actually liked from the Bible. But if I would have sat there and given him all the Bible verses I didn't like from the Bible, like I say, that's I don't really want to do that. Yeah, exactly, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm doing the opposite of what Aron likes to do, and I just wanted his opinion on that.
Well, I don't think I have an opinion. I applaud your approach, I would guess, but I'm thinking about a lot of the people that I've had conversations with. I mean, like one of whom told me that he believed that black people were a separate creation and not biologically related to white people, and I don't know how I would have a conversation with that person and be respectful.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, was that,
just jump to the next question.
That guy?
What's that?
Didn't we both talk to that person, or did I talk to a similar person, a Christian?
Well, no,
who said that black people.
Right now with my stepdad.
Oh.
Well,
I had another.
That conversation, like our other conversations, ended in fists and somebody going through a wall.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But I definitely would say it takes strength, because if you're an atheist and you're a rational thinker and you hear these terrible things, you know they're so wrong and you know the answer to it, to go, okay, I'm not going to tell them, I'm not going to correct them, I'm not going to insult them, I'm just going to go, okay, well, how do you think about this? That's pretty...
There's an approach, I mean, street epistemology, whatever, where you, where you just use questions to challenge them. You sort of lead them to that, the conclusion. That's a good way of doing it. There's more than one approach. I think they're all valid approaches. But, I think that if you got someone on your show that was, say, from the Westboro Baptist Church, you wouldn't be able to have a nice discussion and let them talk. They would dominate it and just sit there and call you names the entire time.
You know what? I would try. I would at least try to have a civil conversation with them. And if they were saying things that I was totally 100% offended by, I would just, I don't know. I would try and change the subject, I guess. But
right. It would be.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. I mean, when you're giving audience, you're giving a floor to somebody that is utterly reprehensible. I mean, and I just have a problem when anybody states as fact something that isn't fact. I mean, I'm already right there. I mean,
the brain starts
correction.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to allow that to just let it go. But my inability to do that is not a criticism of your ability to do that.
Yeah, I'm bad at that too.
It's more fascinating to me, I think, that somebody can actually believe this, and I'm trying to get as much out of them as I can. Just, I don't know why. It might be selfish of me even to do that, and a lot of times when people have Christians on their show and they're giving them a platform and they're allowing to say certain things that they're saying, I'm glad that they get challenged. I'm glad that, whoever they're on the show with is challenging their views and challenging their opinions.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, but a lot of times it's like, dude, let him talk. And that's what my show is for, kind of. I'm letting them talk.
Yeah.
I would say that...
I was about to say, if someone's full of shit and you give them enough time, they'll hang themselves on their own rope. That was a terrible mixed metaphor, but you know what I mean. You let them talk for long enough, you'll see how nuts they are.
Yeah, and I would say, I was thinking, maybe this is the way that I kind of perceive the way that you approach, not just Christians, but people that think they're from different star systems and all sorts of stuff, that it's almost, when you go back and forth with someone who has a completely wrong opinion, you end up changing the conversation because you're exchanging information. So it's almost like an active thought process for these people. When you're constantly saying, no, that's not true, that's not this, and it's kind of, they get defensive. But whenever you just ask them questions, it's almost peering into how much information and what kinds of ideas do they hold without anyone else either like influencing them. That's what they hold to be true, and that's enough for them, I guess. That's the amount of information that they felt was legit enough to think they're from a different star system, and it's almost hearing that, like, oh, this is my answer.
If I'm interviewing somebody who says he's from the Pleiades star system, I'm going to be inclined to inquire, first of all, as to their apparent age and their accent. If he seems to be an indigenous American, then I'm going to wonder about his age and the children's shows that were on when he was a child. And do you happen to know the theme song for The Courtship of Eddar's Father? How would you know that if you're living in the Pleiades? I would also ask, biological questions of the home planet. I would ask technological questions. I could have a great deal of fun with that, but it seems to me that he and I and the audience and everybody involved in that conversation would have to know that I know that he knows he's not really from the Pleiades.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and actually the interview that I did right after his was Rachel's, and he listened to it, and he heard what I actually had to say about him, and he messaged me saying, hey, man, I thought that we were in agreement with this. You know what I mean? Just because I don't give my opinion at all, one side or the other. So he didn't even know. He thought that I believed he was from the Pleiades. You know what I mean? Because I didn't say one way or the other, so...
I mean, you could spend $99 and go get his genome sequenced, and I'm pretty sure he's a Homo sapien that's linked
he
to all
actually,
of the Homo sapiens.
what Aron just said, he actually had an explanation for that.
Ooh.
He said that he wasn't physically from the Pleiades, that he was an incarnated soul who just came into realization and just started having his memories of living within the Pleiades star systems.
Did he have to kick out any of the thetans that were already in that body?
I would just say to him, well, that's a cool story. I understand that you believe that, but your words that come out of your mouth that are just saying, I have thoughts, and my thoughts just came to me out of nowhere, that's not evidence, and I can't take it as evidence.
Because what I would
understand you think it, but
do you
I
have
can't
any
take
evidence? Do you have any evidence that you're from the Pleiades? Do you have any special knowledge? Anything you can show me?
It was revealed to me.
Yeah, be like, because that's what I would take. If you pulled out a glowing rock and it turned into a frog, you say this is technology of my planet. I'd be like, well, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah, so I just can't take their story.
Yeah, but you're not doing that. You're just words.
Yeah, now if I go to any other country, any other part of this world, I'm going to be able to bring information that will be useful to those other people, and likewise, I'm going to come home with useful information from there. Right. So when somebody claims to be from another planet like this, I mean, it's surprising to me that we could come away with absolutely no information at all.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the best way to do that, but to still claim you have it, is to say essence, or soul, or past life, or revelation. All those things. It's like, oh, it's in here. I know it.
Whatever it is, it's indistinguishable from bullshit.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Cool story. I understand you think it's true, but I cannot receive it as evidence.
You were just
I know that you claim to think it's true.
I am fortunate.
You really know. I know that you claim to think it's true. I don't even know that you actually do.
Yeah. I put them in a scanner, try to watch their brain waves, but I'm sure that they would have some sort of excuse as to why the brain waves were showing that they were lying. It's because of the thetans in their body or something.
Right.
No, I 100% think that he believed this. So either that or he's a very, very good troll.
That's some serious delusion, though. But then again, you can be delusional and not necessarily mentally ill. But
hey, as long as he doesn't change any kind of laws or stop people from getting married because he thinks he's from the Pleiades star system, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's my opinion on that too, right? As long as he's not harming anybody or himself, which he may be essentially harming himself just for having that mindset, but
Kids.
you never know.
Well, is it any crazier than believing that God died for you?
I think it's less crazy because we know the Pleiades exist.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have a question for Professor Steven.
Yes.
If that's cool. Like I said, I don't want to take up too much time. And actually, before I do that, Aron, I just want to say, my girlfriend is an ex-Jehovah's Witness. When I got with her, she was still a Jehovah's Witness. She's not anymore. She's lived with me for a year and a half.
Oh, good.
But I would show her videos and give her opinions on things and show her books and everything, and she didn't give a shit. I would come home from work, and your videos would be up on my TV screen because she would spend all day watching them. So I just want to thank you for that, man, because I know you had something to do with her conversion. So
That's awesome.
Wow. And
It's the passion.
Thank you for sharing
That's
that.
a terrible one. I'm glad.
and I even said, what is it about Aron that interests you so much? And she said, well, I can actually understand what the hell he's talking about, first of all. So yeah, I think that was a big thing. Yeah, so Steven, I work at an internet company, and they're very, very health conscious. And every week they send out this It's like, little tips on how to get healthy, and they're usually pretty good. It's basically, it's just bullshit like, eat more vegetables or whatever. But lately, within the past year, I've seen 4 or 5 emails that they sent out about homeopathy, and they actually had a, what are they called, a homeopathist? Is that what they're called?
Yep.
They actually had one in the lunchroom that you can go and ask them questions and things like that. I really wanted to ask this homeopathist some questions, but I had nothing come to mind because I don't know anything about it. So what should I have asked this the homeopathist?
Okay. What about something like, do you understand the concept of a dilution limit? In other words, diluting something to the point where there isn't any left. Do you understand that that's a thing?
I'd ask the ingredients.
Ask what the ingredients actually mean, not these Latin words, but what it's actually made out of.
And what is how do they perceive the word natural and herb?
And what their dilutions actually mean, 12C, 12X, and how it appears that almost everything that they're selling is diluted past the point where there's any active ingredient left. Also, ask him if he really believes that things get more potent the more diluted they are, and that somehow something that causes the symptoms also cures the disease, and why they would think that is true. And I guess lastly, ask him if he really thinks that water has a memory of what was in it.
I would ask what then what does the word memory mean to him then?
How can something without a brain have a memory? And then lastly, is he selling tablets at all?
It was a woman, and she had a whole table full of shit there.
Good.
Was it little bottles of water or tablets?
I don't even know, man. It was probably both because she had, like I said, there was, a whole table full of shit.
So here's 2 that I like. 1, okay, you believe that the water remembers what was in it, even past the point where it's been diluted to the point where there isn't any or very little left. Then you spray it on a tablet and the water evaporates. It leaves behind the memory. Does the water tell the sugar before it leaves what was in it? And how does that work? And then lastly, if little bits of things in water can cure whatever disease they cause the symptoms of, then since the water cycle has exposed the water on this planet to pretty much everything conceivable, wouldn't a nice glass of water from the tap be a cure for all diseases?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the water on this planet's been around a long time, and it's probably been exposed and diluted, and then exposed and diluted everything in existence. Why do we not have immunities to everything and get cured? Because it doesn't make any sense.
And what about
the water? The water remembers everything that passed through the sewer.
Right. The water has terrible memories. It's pretty traumatic. Our water's been traumatized. And maybe ask them about the special way you have to shake things whenever you mix up homeopathic dilutions, and why the way you shake it should have anything to do with what it does. And perhaps, most importantly, ask them why you're selling stuff that has never been shown to work in any double-blind study ever produced by a
that one's tricky. They're running
Obama.
homeopathic hospitals in England right now.
Yep. That's
how do you do that? How do you have a 0 success rate hospital maintain business?
Placebo effect.
Good question. Placebo effect in Prince Charles.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, no problem.
The memory thing is the worst. I just can't handle it.
That's the one I'm gonna go with if she ever comes back, is the water holding memory for sure.
Yeah.
And then ask her, how is this any different from a witch's brew? Other than witch's brews might actually do something. It sounds like a magic potion.
Yep.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Steven.
Yeah, no problem.